Number 3.
And
We are live.
What's going on Facebook? It's your boy, Bill Foster, with his lovely wife, Malika Foster. And on this Sunday, even though it's a little dreary outside, God bless us all, we are here. We have the time to even experience the cloudiness and the rain and all that, especially dealing with this COVID-19, coronavirus, whatever you want to call it, pandemic, which is they're all of the above. Today, we're doing couples in quarantine, and we have some couples with us today, very close. All the others have been in the past, and I will let them introduce themselves. Starting from the bottom, have a wonderful couple, Yvonne and John. So you can introduce yourselves, introduce everybody, know how long you've been married or together, whichever you want to.
Hey guys, we're John and Yvonne. We've been married for 5 beautiful years, 10 years together, and that's the Lord. We've been awesome.
Awesome, awesome. And to the top of the left on our screen, we have a wonderful couple that's been married. Fred and Jesselle, I'll let them introduce themselves.
well, we've been married almost a year, been together over 7 years.
A 4-year-old daughter.
Oh yeah, and the 20-year-old daughter.
20-year-old daughter.
Don't forget that.
They'll obviously see. Yeah.
The 4-year-old will join us soon.
We're going on 20.
Exactly. And the one thing that we were just informed of, that all 3 of us have our anniversaries in June. How beautiful is that?
Yes.
Right? So,
Hopefully we won't be in quarantine then.
I will.
yeah, exactly. So we're gonna go right into this, this quarantine, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, has affected. First and foremost, let me ask you, and I'll start with Fred and Jesselle, and I'll work with myself, Yvonne and John. Have you been affected by losing any loved ones? I hope not.
Well, personally, I haven't. My mom, friends have. I know, a few people in our circle that have,
Yes.
but my family, no. Fred has.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a cousin through marriage who unfortunately passed from it. But other than that, I mean, everybody's, knock on wood, has been healthy and, obviously taking the necessary precautions. But yeah, it's been crazy. It's been crazy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yvonne and John, have y'all lost any loved ones during this?
No, I haven't.
Okay. John?
Yeah, for me, besides a lot of co-workers, it's been basically friends of friends, no family members, immediate. Well, maybe 2 people who have had the virus, but they got through.
Well, it's so funny for our viewers out there. John and Yvonne are in the same dwelling, but they're separate in separate rooms now because Yvonne has tested positive for the COVID-19, the coronavirus. So it has affected them in that aspect. And Yvonne, I'll let you start off and elaborate. What are you feeling? First, thank God you're here.
Yes.
And you're winning this fight.
Yes.
Could you just elaborate, tell us, how are you feeling and how did you catch it?
I'm feeling great. The only problems I have is just the headaches, shortness of breath, the fevers that keep coming on and off, and the sweats.
Right.
Maybe about 2 days ago, my whole body was in so much pain, I wasn't even able to carry a cup of coffee. That's how my muscles were really in so much pain. And I'm going to say I caught it at work. I worked at Mount Sinai Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
We've been having problems. I have been having problems knowing that quite a few people had caught it. And I feel they're not taking care of us like they supposed to. You're supposed to disinfect the whole floor.
Right.
I personally don't deal with patients. I'm a patient care coordinator. So I personally don't deal with patients, but the medical assistants, the doctors, and it's a shame how they have you go into work and all the doctors are home. Every single doctor is at home. And
Doing
then they have
visits.
yes.
Wow. So let me ask you a question. With that being said, all the doctors are home, so you were an essential employee. You were there working. So
Yes.
I'm going to say it. If you don't want to say it, it seems like my son and I wasn't keeping his hygiene up to par in the fact that you got sick, or you just think you got it from a coworker, or we know that the virus is in the hospitals. So do you think it's just hygiene, or you think it was just in the air?
It is in the air, point blank. You know, it could be that where I'm located is private practice, so that's why the doctors are not there. I'm not part of the main hospital.
Right.
So I know they're focusing on the main hospital to make sure that's disinfected. But,
Right.
you know, they also got to take care of us little people on the other side.
Well,
Yeah.
let me tell you something. It's all the little parts in a motor that make the whole car run. So let me tell you something. Just as important as any big person in that hospital. Segue to John. Now, like I said, people out there who are watching, they're in the same place, but because she tested positive, they are practicing the distance because she wants to protect her husband. But little do people know, John is a essential employee and frontline worker. John, first, elaborate on how you're feeling in regards to your health. How are you able to dealing with your wife you have to practice separation? And the question is, let people know what you're doing for a living. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, brother.
Yeah, well, me personally, I work for New York City Transit. I'm actually going on 4 years there. And so, you know, me personally, I know we're not protected. So, you know, each day that I go out there is a constant battle. And so at the same time, you know, we'll wear our masks, we'll wear our gloves, we'll go out the house protected as good as we can. But at the same time, you know, you're working around people, some not wearing masks, some not wearing gloves. And so, you know, that was always a daily challenge for both of us. So, and so being that I got exposed around people at work, you know, I try my best to be able to stay away from the job and come home. So, you know, really to hear that my wife had got it, we're basically like positive people, and I'm positive. I'm a firm believer in God. I trust and believe. And so I didn't exactly panic hearing her have it. I just felt like we got to do what we're going to need to do. And if anybody know my wife ain't going to sit down. I mean, she already was up working around exercising this morning. And I'm like, you know, as long as I see that, I know she'll beat this, she'll get through it. But for the most part, even since finding out on Friday that she had it, I immediately left the job and came home. So, you know, we doing what we got to do in the house. We try to stay separate you know, as much as we can. It's kind of hard with 3 people in a house between me, her, and her mother. So, you know, every now and then we got to try to dip and dodge and hide in corners, wait for each other. You know, but you know, as long as I see her energy level like the way I know it is, you know, I really believe she'll be fine to get through this. You know, the main thing for me is just us monitoring her spike level in terms of her fever and all that. But for the most part, you know, I'm just looking at how amazingly she still gets up. I mean, she was around the house just still doing regular routine things as she could. And, you know, I try to tell her, you know, just take no, she's not going to sit down. So as long as I see that in her, I really feel like she's strong enough to get through this.
Let me ask you a question, and I'm going to come up to the Richardsons. When you first got the information that she told you that she tested positive, what went through your mind? Like, oh my God, because, you know, thank God that she is the trooper that she is. That's my martial arts sister too. I have to, yes. But, you know, when we had COVID-19, coronavirus, whatever, when we hear somebody catch it, it's not uncommon to think of death. You know what I mean? That's just 100. So when you first heard that, what went through your mind? And then I'm going to segue Richardson because I have a question for them. But what went through your mind?
Well, the first thing was my first thought immediately went to her because I was concerned on how she was going to receive that information and process it. You know, she got silent on the phone for a second after she told me, and my whole concern was I gotta guard her. I gotta make sure like she understands we're gonna get through this. We're gonna do what we gotta do. But you know, in the same interim, she said, you know, okay, you know, kind of like, okay, we know where we at with this now. And so I know what we've been doing up to this point with drinking a lot of hot lemon water and, you know, boiling fruits and doing all of that. So, and my mind is like, okay, let's just stick to what we've been doing and just work around it because they're not telling you any particular thing to do in terms of take this, eat that, and all of that. So, you know, for the most part, that's all I've been going by. But after I saw that she kind of took it, I said, okay, you know, for one thing, I know I have to be strong, even if she wasn't going to be strong.
Right.
I'm really a firm believer in faith. I'm just trusting God that as long as I see her strength and she's, you know, doing the norm and getting through it, I feel like we'll get through it, you know. And I know there's other people, they have difficult times with it, but you know, I'm just a firm believer that she's gonna be fine.
That's awesome. I'm going to come to the Richardsons, but Yvonne, please take us to the process, the test, your emotions. What did you feel? And then, you know, expressing it to your family, because I know you got sister, your son, you know, family, you know, John, like your mom's, like, please give us some insight into your emotions. Walk us through the when you found out you tested positive.
Oh, the fear just kicked in. The number one, like John said, you know, once I heard positive, I was like, shit, you know. And for me, because my immune system is shot, so the first thing is, okay, let's take out these home remedies. Let's start boiling all these fruits and stuff. I bought a whole bunch of vegetables, you know, get my Vicks, get my alcohol, because you
Right.
hey, and you know, the Mucinex, the garlic, the ginger root, you know, and the chicken stock. So that's how we've been living like that for a long time anyway, but now it's like I doubled up in quite a few things. So as far as the fear, the first thing I had to do, my mom lives with us, who and her thing, you know, she has really bad case of asthma and all that stuff. So, but she's been keeping our distance from us since all this started, you know, so but just to let her know. And then when he got home from work, we had our discussion. By the time the evening kicked in, I said, okay, so you're going to have to sleep in the bedroom. I'm going to stay in the living room. And got my curtains up so nobody comes in here. And as far as when John said me getting up and on the move, whenever I get up in the morning now, whatever I slept on, I'm throwing it in the machine, washing it, jumping in the shower, and just keeping a positive mindset. I got my little machine here, like a stair climber. So I've been like keeping my arms to open up my chest cavities, you know, make sure I'm doing my breathing techniques, all that stuff.
That's
so
beautiful.
I am
I could
great.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Yvonne, I just want to tell you there's a lot of messages coming in wishing you well and prayers
Thank you.
for recovery. So it's a lot of love coming your way. So just want to
Thank you.
Keisha Lena also, I know we have a long list. We always talk about the ginger and garlic and everything, but she also added Buckley's to get some Buckley's. I think.
Yeah, I have to order it to Amazon because they no longer sell them. That used to be my number one.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's old school. Exactly.
Yeah, old school with Buckley. That was my number one.
Absolutely.
That'll clear your shit out, boy. Let me tell you.
Everything.
Wow.
It probably has a little fine print on that bottle saying it cures coronavirus.
Coronavirus on the low, right? Anybody else want to do some love?
Yeah. So Barry said to have her constantly rotate and reposition herself in the bed and lay on your stomach sometimes.
Yes.
Have someone double fist pat your back a few times because that'll also help break the mucus up. So
yes.
Thank you, Barry. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, so I mean, like I said, I commend you for your bravery. I know the warrior in you. you've always been a fighter. So the fact of
Mm-hmm.
hearing that you and John expressed that you get up and you would not let this even remotely act like it would defeat you is so.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And for people out there, please, we hear the stories. Like, we just had a segment where people are beating this. And thank God, if we'd have known this, we probably would have had you on that. You'd have doubled up. But Brad, great to hear that you're expressing this aspect because, it's a couple in quarantine. You're dealing with this together. The love is beautiful because we know you two love each other immensely. So that's just a positive. And we're going to always say prayers for you. Now I'm going to segue up to Richardson for a minute because Fred, you're an essential employee too. So you go out.
Yeah.
Feeling about that and him, like, the fact that your husband, we're not newlyweds anymore. Technically, we're still love, young love, but the fact that young love on the sense that we got married, but together for a minute. But the fact of it is now, this is this man that you decided to give your life to, and now during this pandemic, he's going out to work, and you have a 4-year-old daughter. Like, what's your mental?
Well, honestly, I guess I married an ex-trooper. I expected it. He was working 24/7 to begin with. So when this started happening, I guess when it first happened, we just kept going on autopilot. He had to go. I had to stay home with our daughter. What else were we gonna do, right? The job. You got to do the job.
Yeah.
I guess the first time it scared me is when he came home with a little bit of a temperature.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, we have a toddler, so we have a bajillion thermometers. So he came home and he was just kind of quiet. And so I took a thermometer and took his temperature, and it was just slightly elevated. And so automatically, and this is before we were like stripping down at the door and watching. I was like, so now you're gonna have to sleep in that other room.
while we monitor.
We don't social distance.
Yeah.
And so my daughter was like, what's wrong with Daddy? Why is Daddy in what we call Sissy's room? Why is she in Jordan's room? And I'm like, Daddy's relaxing. Daddy's watching TV. So that we took his temperature. It was like 3-4 days. We realized it was a fluke. It wasn't anything. He was going in and doing what he needed to do. I'm going to be honest.
We scared Daddy.
Yeah, we scared Daddy. We did scare Daddy. Yeah. And so he goes in and out, and the new routine is we don't go out. My daughter and I might make the block, but we don't have to go out because my husband goes out. He comes home with groceries. He comes home with whatever we need, snacks, whatever, wine. He comes home with the essentials.
Yeah.
He strips at the door. He does his thing. My daughter is sometimes confused why she can't jump on him. But there's a routine and there's a new normal. And I know some days it's more stressful than others for him to get out of bed to get there. But I'm grateful because I think I've gone out to one store since this has happened and my anxiety shot through the roof. And he literally said, you're with our toddler. You spend one-on-one time with our toddler. It would break my heart if something happened. So he takes the risks so that we don't have to take the risks. And honestly, that's another reason our other daughter isn't with us. She's asthmatic. She's heavily asthmatic. So she hasn't been allowed to come home, especially with him coming in and out. He hasn't been able to see his mom. He dumps stuff at her door and keeps it moving. I haven't seen my mom. My mom's a nurse. She goes in and out of a nursing home. My sister's also an essential worker at, a medical center. So it's scary, but I'm 100% grateful that he's willing to take the chance for his family.
Let me ask you a question, Jesselle. I'm gonna come back to you, Fred. How did you feel when you had to explain to your daughter, and I'll ask both of you guys that too, Fred, you after. But Jesselle, how did you feel when you had to now break these news to your daughter who's used to a routine with her father who loves her daddy, and now you have to tell her kind of like, yo, baby, like, you can't do this with Daddy, give us some insight into that.
So Jacqueline's 3. She'll be 4 next week. Explaining to a 3-year-old why she can't see her friends, why she can't go to her grandma, why she can't see her cousins, because she has a million of them. You know how the Puerto Rican side does. So why she can't
Real
go to
talk. Yeah, real talk. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
why the playground is closed. Those things are hard unto itself. Okay, it's like every day we go through. Everybody's sick right now. When they get better, we can see them. That's an everyday thing. The time that we thought he was sick, to tell that little girl about her father that she couldn't play with him, she couldn't jump. It was like pulling teeth. It literally was like him wanting to reach out to her, him wanting to cuddle. You see, they're always cuddling on that chair. She didn't understand it. And so, she would go to the door and I'm like, no, I'm screaming because I don't know how to tell a 3-year-old we think her dad is sick and he might get her sick. There's no explaining that to somebody at that age. So I was super grateful that it was only a few days and we kept monitoring, and, he goes to work during the day. So I didn't have to worry about that during the day or, but at night it was like when daddy came home, let me distract you. Where's daddy? Oh, he's sleeping. So we know that, we don't bother daddy, he's sleeping. But when you go into the room and he's not there, it's like, why isn't daddy in our room? Why isn't he? So it was tough for a little bit, but again, it was only 3 to 4 days. So that was short enough to not make her get very angry because that's daddy. That's her dude.
Yeah, right.
And to be clear, I didn't have COVID. I mean, but at the very early stages, the only thing we had to base it on was, a temperature.
Right.
Yeah.
So once it kicked off, we immediately started testing each other every day. She would test me, she would test her daughter, test herself. And then one day I went to work, and I mean, even though people think COVID is out there, but the common cold is out there too. Yeah. So, every time you feel a little down or your nose is running or it doesn't mean, you've got COVID, but that's the first thing. Now that's what our minds are, where we automatic. So I would have never, if we didn't do what we did and I somehow transmitted it to my daughter, I would have, obviously I would have never forgiven myself. So the first thing we did was say, we have to take the necessary precautions. And since I was going into work, and like I said, the difference between a 98.6
right.
and
a 99.
A 99.5 is,
Right.
So it never got to the point. I mean, the hardest part was just really not being able to be the same dad that I always was. I would come home, I go in the shower, wash up, and then I would just distance myself from them. I would go into my other daughter's room and turn on the TV, but it was difficult. It's difficult to, and I mean, I didn't even have it.
I'm looking at John and Yvonne, like, we have our routines, our family is important to us. We come home after the wind down, being able to spend time with each other and kind of just like, how was your day? How you feeling? What'd you do? Are you okay for tomorrow? Those kinds of conversations we have every day. We do a check-in, but we do a check-in. We may as well live in a studio apartment because everywhere somebody is, somebody else is. There's no privacy. Where's the door? I need more doors. But for that not to be able to happen, that's when I realized, you always say sometimes before quarantine, oh my God, I'm gonna murder you in your sleep. You keep snoring. If you chew that, I'll fight you. And then I realized, you too loud. What I realized was how much your partner, your husband, your mate, your friend, what that means, and what that means when, if not to overtake anything, but when this first happened, having a 3-year-old, having my own issues with dealing with it, how am I going to homeschool and work? Fred's gone. All of those things, my anxiety level was to 1,000. And we'd come home and he'd be like, babe, you good? You need more wine? How was Jacqueline? You want me to take her for a walk so you can get 10 minutes? Those kinds of things matter to get me to the next day. Without that, I was like, dang, I FaceTime my sister every day, 4 times a day, 5 times a day. I talk to my mom FaceTime 2-3 times a day, but it's not the same because this is my person.
So let me ask you a question, Giselle. First, are you still working or you're not working right now?
I'm working.
Okay, wow. So like just dealing with like what you're saying, just the emotional aspect of this, like, how did you feel? You're working, you're homeschooling with your daughter, monitoring that. You're worried about your family. You're worried about
Bill, let me key you in on a little something.
Go ahead.
This is the queen of OCD, Okay.
All right.
If I need anything done, all I do is put out a little breadcrumb. You know what?
Pick it up from there.
If we did this, I ain't gotta do nothing else after that.
All right.
She takes everything. So her work, homeschool, she is so regimented.
Point. Yeah.
I mean, the first thing we did was that we bought Jacqueline a little desk because we knew, you know, they have their routines. And I mean, honestly, this COVID is horrible, but our daughter has flourished as a result of the homeschooling and the one-on-one attention that my wife has given her, where she's communicating on levels that, you know, 4 weeks ago, she was babbling. I don't want to make it seem like she was babbling, but she's now having full conversations just because of the attention that, you know, my wife has given her. And so this is a horrible time. I don't, you know, I wish it end tomorrow, but it has had some benefits to it. I mean, like for us, we hardly ever eat together. But now she's mandated that we have sit down dinner table at the table, which obviously we're going to try to continue afterwards. But
that's old school black, baby. That's old school. For that, it's not even old school black. It's just old school. Let me tell you something.
Right.
Everybody, if you at a certain age, you ate together, right?
Right. Which we didn't, and I'll tell you what
Well,
happened.
yeah. Well, we're the new world order. Yeah.
The week before the official shutdown, can you go check Jacqueline?
Mhm.
The first week before the shutdown, we had 2 cases at my job. It was around the time of Wallace's passing, his funeral actually. That day they made an official announcement that there were 2 people who had tested positive. So the bathroom, no, she's in a potty bag. So they were going to clean. They were going to do a deep cleaning, and then we could come back to work in a few days. So that was that Friday. They sent the note. They were saying by Monday they would tell us if we can come back by Tuesday. So that first week I was home by myself. I was chilling. I mean, I was working real hard. You know, catching up on my shows. I was enjoying it. I didn't know how bad it would get. By the Thursday of my, you know, enjoyment, I get a package home from Jacqueline's school, and I'm like, wait, what are y'all doing? Like, why are y'all sending home a package? And they're like, well, just in case. By the Saturday, they sent an email and stated that she would be out indefinitely. And when the panic set in, because I do contracts and budgets for clinical trials, which have ramped up due to COVID, right? And I work for a pharmaceutical company. They're not closing. We're essential. Even though we don't have to go in, we're essential. And so I literally panicked. I didn't know what to do with my daughter. I didn't know how to, I have client calls. I have open calls that I lead. So what was I gonna do? And so I was like, no, I can't do it. And then Fred goes in. So the first day, I went on Amazon and I started ordering things because he's like, what are you going to do to keep her busy? And I'm like, she got to go to work with you. I don't know. I can't. I got to work. We both need our paycheck. So what happened was I ordered stuff from Amazon. I was like, well, it's only going to be a week. Ordered it. And then when I realized it was stretching out, I was ordering more things and going to different resources that they have for children and whatever. And Fred's right, my OCD goes on fire. So now we have a set routine. We get up in the morning, we might take a walk. You know, some of you guys see us doing the walk. We come back, there's numbers and letters and writing, and there's reading, and there's fake book reports, because, you know, there are things that I have to keep her busy with in order for me to get my work done. And so we work, especially in the morning, and lunch, so that she can relax and mommy can catch up on work. And then there's fake relax time where I am now able to do what I need to do. And in order for me to get to the next day, Yvonne's gonna enjoy it. I started working out again because I needed my own time, and the only time she doesn't bother me is if I'm on my bike. Something Fred has taught her. So I'm on my bike, like, give mommy 10 minutes just so that I can, you know, get my own. And then, you know, we do a little bit of things, art, whatever, in the afternoon. And then by that time, we take another walk. Daddy's coming home. So then daddy takes. So the routine works. And he's right. She's flourished in that. But what you don't realize, and what I think hurts me the most, is kids aren't meant for quarantine. Kids are not built
Right.
to be isolated. You see the effects of that. And so I find myself giving her a lot more leeway. I start questioning my parenting, like, I'm letting her talk like that, reckless? But then
Yeah.
the reckless mom, the West
Right.
Indian out. I'm like, what she said?
Yeah.
You know, a kid is not meant for quarantine. A kid who was in Montessori school with 30 friends, and the older kids were snatching her out of my arms, and why can't I see Jody? Why can't I see Obi? Why can't it makes me sad, you know? And in our neighborhood, there are no kids. So then when we walk, there's nobody for her to say, you know, and that hurts. You know, I understand that there's death, there's sickness, there's loss. It's tough on everybody, but kids, I don't think they're built for this.
You know, so I have a comment from Christina Johnson, and she says, many children are flourishing because of the one-on-one parent contact. It makes a huge difference for being in a classroom of 25 plus kids and one teacher. Big shout out to Christina. She's going to be in with us Tuesday for the teachers in quarantine, and she's going to give us a big deep insight. I also want to get a big shout out. I saw that Dana Jones was watching, and Dana, you know, all this whole group sending their loves to you because
Yes.
your experience in going through.
We love you, Dana.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, we send our prayers and condolences. I just want to ask all of you guys, what's going on? They're talking about opening up the country. Like, what's your thoughts on that? I'll start with you and John and Yvonne, and then Fred and Giselle.
They need to shut down the country for a good month. I mean nobody in the street, nobody, nothing. I mean, to really control this, because it's out there. Listen, I don't know if you guys saw our pictures. John and I dressed like Fort Knox before we walk out our door.
I saw that.
Right.
You know, we were covered from head to toe, and I still caught it.
Right.
You know, and even when I was at work, I still had my mask. I still had my gloves. You know, not only do I put my gloves, I put hand sanitizer on it, you know, and always changing my gloves and the mask, but I still caught it.
And Vaughn, let me just interject for a second. I want you to continue, but the one thing that you said earlier that I totally can relate to is about your immune system being so low.
Mm-hmm.
You have a low immune system. So the fact that you were going to work, but the bottom line is, like you said, you were covering up, you know, you're that precautionary sister. So you were doing your thing and you still caught it. It's crazy. So
Yes.
the blessing is that you're a trooper. And, you know, for me, like I said, I don't have to go out anymore. I mean, you know, my line aspect is trying to bring positive information and people like yourself to the forefront so other people can learn from you. But Malika and I, we're able to stay home and handle this business until this thing comes up. And we were just having a family meeting and we were just kicking it on what we have to do in the near future when the social distancing opens up. You know what I'm saying? When we lose supposedly social distance, because I know you're not going to see us for a while. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know, it's interesting because we took a walk yesterday in the park, and just by chance we ran into someone that Bill grew up with, and her daughter and someone else. And, you know, before we would just run over and hug each other so tight, but we all knew, you know.
And they're family to us.
They're our family. We just waved from a distance and, you know, did like the virtual hug. So it's kind of our first time running into someone so close to us since this is going on. But, you know, obviously we all knew just keep our distance. But it felt weird. It was also the right thing.
Also, too, what about Uncle Willie? Like, we haven't seen him. And we dropped something off to him, some food off to him.
Ago.
And
I hopped out the car, and we both had our masks and gloves on, but we did just like a little mild fist bump, you know. And that kind of broke my heart because, you know, I look at him obviously as he's family, and I wanted to hug him, but we knew better, you know. Just that's all we're going to do.
And just to piggyback off what Malika was saying, just like when we saw our friends, our family wanting to hug each other as we were leaving, they wanted to hug each other, and they said, "Oh, Like we can't
The daughter wanted to hug
the
the
mother,
mom.
and it was like I was like looking at my niece, like Malika and I looking at our niece, wanting to
Yeah.
hug our sister,
Mhm.
and like they can't. And they were when we walked up on them, they were literally separated 6 feet apart, and it was,
On the benches, yeah.
it's crazy. And I'm fearful that this is the new world order because they're talking about us coming back again in the fall, and that's cool because listen, we're preventive maintenance. Well, the forces are preventive maintenance people. And I don't know about anybody else out there in the world, but the thing is, like you said, Yvonne, you know, they're talking about May 15th. I guess it's evaluation time.
Mhm.
Like you were just saying, I'm sorry for interrupting, but continue. You feel like a month, you know, shut it down for a month.
I mean, shut it down completely. Like no one even go. Like I'm afraid to go for a walk.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So even before I tested positive, you know, from here I went on the express bus because I don't take the subways anymore.
Okay.
The express bus, go to work, from there get back on the express bus, came home. That was the routine for a whole week because I'm doing 1 week on, 1 week off. I work from home 1 week, and when I'm at my job, I'm by myself, so it's like nobody's there. And I believe, this is just my belief, you know, like I said before, we already all have the virus. It's affecting certain people, you know, that has certain immune problems, you know, and I believe everyone should be, this whole state should be on lockdown completely for a good month. Let them spray whatever they got to spray. Let us be in quarantine, and I believe it would be a whole lot better. It's not going to go away. It's going to get controlled.
The only aspect of it that you can't control, short of declaring martial law, is saying, you know, I mean, when you go to the supermarket, the people that are working there are those essential employees. Are you saying shut it down completely, or are you saying shut it down and still have essential employees? Because we have to survive. I mean, you can't go to the supermarket and say, I'm going to get enough food for this period of time. And then if it goes beyond that period of time,
it has to be controlled. If a supermarket needs to be open, then they need to be open by a certain time and then lock down the city. But when I look out my window and I hear the ice cream truck and I see everybody in the park playing and I see all these kids outside, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's the
You know what I'm saying?
That's the craziest shit to see that shit.
And let me tell you what's the worst. I could see the adult with the mask, but the little kids ain't got shit on. And they running around, you know, and I'm like, this is not gonna go away.
No, I 100%.
That's a good topic that you brought up. Go ahead, Jesselle. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jesselle.
Yeah.
You've seen parties, people still partying.
Yeah.
You see people in the park hanging out. While I'm telling my daughter the park is closed, and I see other friends posting that they're walking through the park, it looks like a regular Sunday. Don't let it get nice.
Malika and I was thrown off by that yesterday. We were just like,
There was a ton of people out
and it was like an anxiety coming over us because, like I said, when we went to shopping, we went to BJ's, we stocked up Thursday, and I at the end I was like starting to freak out. I was like, "Yo, get me out of here," because I felt like I'm about to swing because people walking by me, and I feel like they're not practicing the same distance that I'm practicing, and then I feel like you're disrespecting me. Coming up on me, shit covered or close to it.
Well, it was funny because when he said that, I actually was feeling it also, but I didn't say anything.
Right.
So you know, I didn't want both of us freaking out. But I just calmly said, "I feel it too. You know, let's check out."
And it's so funny, vice versa happened yesterday because yesterday was a beautiful day and we walked, but she didn't want people walking by her.
No.
You know, and I was getting, and I was like, okay. I said,
people were bike riding and jogging with no shirt.
To the island.
Up to the island.
And then,
like, knock it off. You know,
but I'm like that on a regular day, even without.
Yeah.
So yesterday we went to take a ride. Okay, that's my only time I get to go out. Let's take a ride.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I've only seen my neighborhood, which. I'm grateful for a house. I'm grateful for a backyard. Blah, blah, blah. Mama needs outside. Y'all know I throw a good party.
Right.
So I was like, babe, take us for a ride, which he does ever so often. And so we load up and we like to go to City Island. So we'll take a look because you get to see the water, blah, blah, blah. Jacqueline likes the boats. I try to tell Fred, hit the lottery so he can buy mama a boat, you know, whatever. So we drive to City Island.
Yeah, we was gonna talk about buying boats. Ain't that some shit? Yeah.
It's 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
8 o'clock, 8:30. City Island is packed.
Yeah.
Stimulus check.
Really?
Wow.
Last night.
To the fact that they are now stopping traffic so that pedestrians can go back and forth. Sammy's is packed.
That's
They have made
crazy
the
to
most
me.
money they have ever made.
Takeout, all takeout.
But this is
Wow.
how they're in line.
Oh,
I'm like,
Wow.
my window's up. I'm like, we can go. Packed. That
Yeah.
end of
That's
that boardwalk
crazy.
part.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
no.
so now let's pretend that's done. You've eaten your crab legs and you've had a great time. I'm not knocking if you desire the crab legs. That's not what I'm saying. When you reopen, these people who may not have been tested or may not even be asymptomatic or whatever else, they're in schools with my kids. So like you said, Bill, what's going to happen when we open up? My daughter's not going to school this semester. So I've already spoken to my boss. Whether he has a problem with it or not, that's a different conversation. My daughter is not going back to school this semester.
Exactly.
Summer out, where she used to go to summer camp. Fred and I have been going back and forth. Would we send her? Would we send her? Does she just stay at home? Because I can't. If I don't feel comfortable going to see my mama, I'm not sending my daughter home with people who I don't know if they understand what social distancing and disinfecting. And I yell at Fred like did you wash your hands?
Yeah, when I come in the house, that's the first thing I have to wash my hand.
I don't care what you're doing.
Because the
when he
little
doesn't
one always,
know,
yeah.
when he goes,
Gotcha.
I'm spraying our doorknobs with Lysol. I sprayed our bell with Lysol. I wiped down our fridge. I wiped down the bathroom. Not that I'm saying my husband has it, but my kid is there. And I can't. So y'all enjoy your parties when this opens up. I hope y'all have a good, anniversary outside. He and I gonna have an anniversary right here with whatever food he finds to bring right here. I'm here until the fall, I think, for me.
Well, I need to hear we need to hear some drastic flattening of the curve for us to even think about going back. But what I will tell you this, don't expect to be going back to what we used to do. Okay, so I mean, and Bill, speaking to you're a businessman and everything. You're used to having your events.
That's done. That's done.
Your events can never be to the capacity that they were before, because when we come back from this social distancing, you know what they're going to do? They're going to cut down the amount of people that can occupy a space.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're doing at work. We're going to try to slowly bring back the workforce, 25%, 50%, and then check to see if there's a spike. So May is only, we're going to open up, but there are going to be so many restrictions. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, and
my
my personal feelings is that if we had the government being very honest and truthful right from the very start of this, like my wife said, they could have really kind of shut the city down, even though essential places might have still been open. We would have kind of got a hold of this in the very beginning, but we got a government system, who really just wants to kind of keep the truth from the people. And so inside of that, you have people that have this disbelief about whether we seriously got a virus going on. You got people walking around feeling like it ain't that serious. It ain't, even with all the people that's dying, you got protesters out here. So it's really going to be hard to really get us to a space where this thing is really just going to go away for a little while. Yeah.
And that's crazy. That's crazy, everything they're saying. But since you're in transit, and Yvonne and Fred were having a nice little discussion about closing martial law, you're transit. And, we had a segment on, transit workers in the front lines. Yeah. I applaud you guys for me, a former transit worker. Also, I understand what you're going through. But let me ask you a question. Do you feel they should have shut down the city for a while?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And here's my point why. When we had other times in the past, like I've been in transit almost 24 years, so I was there around 2 different occasions we went on strike. And I get that might have been a different purpose, but I've been around to see what Storm Sandy did to the system. I've seen other times where if it necessarily needed to be shut down, they would have shut it down to get everything back in full operation. So if you're talking about a pandemic that can affect all of us, number one, first the workers, my assessment was that we should have shut it down and then allow all the workers to really fight, spray, clean, do whatever. The city would have lost maybe some revenue for a week, even if we shut it down for 1 full week. Yes, I get the fact that workers need to get to work. But at the same time, when we was on strike, workers was getting to work or wherever way they made they behind get there, they got there. And that was through 2 strikes. When we had snowstorm and Storm Sandy and all that, people got where they necessarily needed to get to. And I get that, okay, yeah, the firefighters, but I don't see firefighters taking no subway. Firefighters take subways. The cops necessarily don't need to take the subway except the ones that work in the subway. And a lot of other people, I mean, come on. The whole idea, the fact that we got to get the essential workers to work, the bottom line, it put us at risk. And now because we kept the system open, and then we didn't even get the PPE equipment we needed. Now, that's another story. If we would have gotten what we needed, then okay, I get it. We don't shut down, but then get everybody gloves, masks, and whatever we would have needed to fight this battle. Transit didn't care. They dropped the ball. They were willing to drop the ball. Therefore, so many workers got sick. So many workers had to go out. And so now we are where we are, and they're not going to shut it down now.
No, it's too late
then
now.
the whole
It's too late.
thing is the virus ain't going nowhere. It's just impossible to go anywhere now. And then now they talking about opening up the city. I mean, listen, it's like saying, you know, it's like there's a saying, when you're casual, it normally leads to casualties. And that's how I looked at the whole government, transit, and everybody else. And so now we're just going to have to see the numbers of how many more people who are going to pass from this. But I don't really see it really getting to a space where we really wipe this thing out.
Well, you know what? I think the worst is yet to come. Even though, I mean, the worst is here. The worst is yet to come. I'm gonna give some people some light. My man Pete, he said the better the weather, the more we'll see people out and about, not social distancing. I saw this yesterday throughout Rockland County, kind of shocker about the city, but City Island, but not really. And Marquita, she said, heard from friends in Georgia with crazy. I don't have my glasses. Go ahead, crazy. trying to be cute and shit.
Us young people.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then Georgia with the nail salon.
Yeah, but that's what she was trying to.
One of our viewers, Marquetta Lawrence, said she heard from friends that Georgia was crazy on Friday. They said the supermarket was just like the young lady said about City Island, and I agree. My kids nor I will be going back to work or school, and thank God I'm on workers' comp right now. So,
Yeah, and that's the craziest thing because, you know, what is that to say about our government? Like, you know, this dude, 45, I was having some discussions with some former coworkers, and, you know, they are straight Republican. And, you know, what's so funny? Like, they were trying to, one dude in the group was trying to check my temperature to see if I was Republican or socialism or then Democratic. And I told the dude, I said, it doesn't matter. This motherfucker's a buffoon. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And I go on record and say, what the fuck you gonna do? He can't beat me. You know what I'm saying? And he makes you mad because whether you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever you believe in, just act presidential. The fact that you're suggesting people to take Lysol and disinfect it or things.
But did you think there was a spike in people in the hospital? Because
exactly. So it's just so scary that people first, and when you start talking about the socially, we're talking about ethnicity and, you know, racism. Like, you know, there are white people out here running around like, oh, I'm gonna just do what I want to do. There's black people acting ghetto. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's across the board.
It's across the board. So, you know, people, Latin people, you're not doing the right thing.
Our golf courses are still open. I see people in golf. I mean, let's not socially distancing golf either. I mean,
Wow.
So,
people are going to do what they're going to do regardless, and I get that. You have to do what's best for you. But when it starts impeding my health, my family's health, my husband who's putting him at unnecessary risks because he does work at a bank and we do enjoy the paycheck and I work and I, but at the same point, I'm not going to unnecessarily put myself at risk.
Exactly.
I get that. And my other thing that really bothered me is the people who are on being furloughed. When the government reopens and they're being forced to go back to work, knowing that they were affected, knowing that they're in high risk places, or lose the unemployment and COVID benefits, like, what are you saying to them? You don't care. That's what you're saying. You don't care.
because let me tell you something, honestly, you know, I spent a lot of my time in the gym, you know, even if it didn't look like it. No, it looked like it. Listen, I haven't worn jeans in months.
I was just showing Malika my stretch pants.
Yeah, exactly. But I say all that to say, you know, I'm doing like the, you know, just let's all talk about how the society is going to change. I was just doing virtual martial arts today, you know, classes. I had my jiu-jitsu family's talking about doing classes. I was doing Tai Chi today. Shout out to my sensei. You know, life is going to change. This might be the new way we're going to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
Because how do you say, come see me? Because I guarantee you, there's one thing that's going on the shopping list is masks and gloves from now on.
Yeah.
It's going on the shopping list. I mean,
Yeah.
how do we, even this, we all like-minded people in regards to this. But how do we say, let's just get together in June? Like, just because the government said, he said, yo, it's open, we gonna be like, okay, I don't know, yo, I ain't with that, cat. You know what I mean?
Like, okay, Jacqueline has gymnastics and swim and all these other activities we normally stuck her in. Gymnastics. I'm sorry, she wants
gymnastics and swimming.
Invite her to, hey girl.
Skiing.
and skiing.
As
Wow.
as,
Nice.
as Malika's friend says, hey friend.
So gymnastics was the first to close. Swim was the last to close.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, when are we going back? Mama gonna have to learn how to do gymnastics to show you, because you know that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to tell you that, but not yet. And until 2021, like Fred says, there's a drastic change and we're back, because kids don't understand social distancing.
Wow.
My daughter saw her friend at school and almost leaped on him. And as parents, we're like, right. So we don't know how to stop that. So how do I say, you're not going back to your activities, because I'm not sure that things are, like Yvonne said, are things really bad? Or do you need the economy to be better so you're willing to put us at risk?
Yeah, but you know what's going to be the new thing, as hopefully this curve flattens. 1 second, baby, 1 second. As this curve flattens, is the testing, because what they're going to start to do is see who's positive, who has the antibodies. Because I'm assuming they're going to say that once you've had it once, you can't have it again because your body builds up antibodies to it. So now it's going to become a test of who got you got your papers?
Yeah.
Yo, have you been positive, or do you have the antibodies? Because now that's the only way you're going to start to really flatten. They're going to start to do a tracking, and Bloomberg has already announced it. They're going to start testing people, as many as possible, and they're going to put you in categories.
But think about this. What about this when they're talking about, we made a joke about if you come to a club, it ain't even about wanting you to see if you got a weapon on you. It's about taking your temperature to see if you all right to come inside as well.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about the whole Bill Gates thing and the whole, you know what I'm saying? That's something to talk about. It's real talk. It is what it is. I mean, listen.
Yeah, me personally,
I don't know if I want the dude that started Microsoft or whatever he did dictating health policy. You know,
Thank you.
That's a little, that's like the NBA players all of a sudden trying to play baseball.
Exactly.
Exactly. Stay in your lane. You know, you're a billionaire, and you know they always go to Africa to test out these things, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
the guinea
You know,
pigs.
But
he's, what's he doing now? The whole immunization in Africa.
yeah.
Mhm.
You know, it's great. It sounds humanitarian and all the, you know, altruistic or whatever, all the different,
Yeah.
but does he have an ulterior motive?
Of course he does.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course, of course. And the bottom
Absolutely.
line is, I think when I tried to speak to the youth before this got to this, I was going out doing a lot of speaking engagements. I mean, to all ages and nationalities and ethnicities, but I was really concentrating on the youth, and they don't get it. It's a shame that people just don't get it. We have to understand, like we get it. We understand because we want to see. See, we're at that tasteful age, that seasonal age of love. That we want to see some more years. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But the youth don't get it. They almost think that they're invincible to this. And there was just an article, I don't know if Malika has sent it to me, in regards to the youth are now so much not catching COVID, but if they catch COVID, they're having strokes. So, like, yeah, that was yesterday. Out there, people that have children, grandchildren, please inform them that they are vulnerable to this. They can't happen to you too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? As our parents used to say, your ass don't have any protection. Not when it comes to this shit right here.
That's it.
We as people, we need to understand and stop going with the rhetoric that, you know, how people see us. Let's change the narrative. Like, I think, you know, that's really my PSA for the day. Like, change the narrative on how people see us. Like, we can be better people. We really can. You know, we don't have to move far, far away to be around like-minded people that really ain't like-minded. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, I've had conversations with people that really are just so Republican that it hurts my heart because you don't even see the picture of, you know, and like Fred, you and I are former law enforcement.
Yeah, I was gonna say it.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you know, we're men. I mean, the bottom line is, who wants to come home and see a bunch of dudes hanging on the corner? I don't want to see that shit either. But the bottom line is, I don't want to see people of color getting beat up and stop questioning first for no reason. You know, there's a difference in how we just live this life. I'm not trying to deviate off of that, but this is Couples in Quarantine and this is Real Talk Chronicles. So we still rocking with the hell on the topic of hand. Yeah. I just want to say, first, well, I don't want to say, I want to ask, where do you see, like, is this the new world order? Like, where are we at now, like, after this? Are people working from home forever? Do jobs lay us off? Are we changing our whole careers now? Like, this is some real new shit right now. You know what I'm saying? And John, I'm going to start with you because you are transit. Just like we've seen the token booth clerks disappear, kind of, sort of. We've seen toll booths when we drive by right now. Everything is automated and stuff like that. Where do you see this going and just the new world?
Yeah. Well, honestly, if you ask me in about a year and a half from now, I'll tell you where I see me and my wife going. But honestly,
where y'all going then? Tell me, damn it, don't put us
honestly, because transit is a system that no matter how much they upgrade in terms of the changes with the way we swipe, the way we pay our fare, the train system itself is always going to require really just having people. It's just going to be no new way of doing it. They're not going to, you know, they tried in the past when they talked about having trains operating without operators and all that. But because it's a system that's really going to still require having people, I don't think it's really going to change but so much. Because even if you have it where people even now swiping or paying a different way they got to pay, the only way you're going to still get where you're going is you still got to get on the system. So the subway is not really going to change so much in that format. They may have a new way of how they get their revenue, because like right now, they took some of the clerks out of the booths. They took all the money out of some of the booths. So now you just got to go to either the machine or you either got to have it on your card already I can foresee that might be possible happening, but they still going to require people to still ride the system. So it's not going to be so much of a change for that.
Do you think things are going to change in the hospitals on like, there's always people sitting behind some place coming up with all kind of ideas, new ways of checking in, like the way hospitals are going to be run now? What do you think?
My beliefs is, you have the higher ups that know nothing about hospitals, and then they sitting behind a desk or in their house, and they send us out there, so it will still be happening. My job, I do authorizations for all the medications that the patients need, so, and now the insurance is going to change. I'm going to say a good 80%. The policy is going to change in all the insurance policies. So now, once all this is over, we need to really look at our benefits, our policies, because all that's going to change. They're not letting the patients know that, because a lot of times when I'm doing authorization, the patients don't even know that their policy changed.
Wow.
So a lot of the head honchos of the hospitals are now, they're the ones who are, negotiating.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So this is why a lot of the patients were not tested, because if out of the 10 requirements, because you didn't have a fever, you didn't qualify, they send you on your way, and unless you have that, you come pay in cash, like the celebrities, they were able to get their test done because they paid up front.
Let me ask you a question, Yvonne. I'm glad you brought up that topic. How were you able to get your test? Was it hard?
It was hard for me to call my employee health at work. I had to go online, fill out a so-called application,
Really?
and then they will call me within 24, 48 hours. And then we also called the hotline, like John also called the hotline, and they called them like maybe 2 weeks later, to go get tested. I have an amazing primary care doctor that, because we see him on a regular, like make sure you go every year to see your primary care. You got to make sure, because when you call them, for him to pick up the phone and ask you 100 questions, he says, nope, you qualify. I'm going to send you to the, the drive-through?
Yes.
Right? So we could.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I didn't get to go to the drive-through because we weren't going to make it on time. But he had it set up for me. But he's with Northwell in Lenox Hill in the city. So he had me call Urgent Care, the one on 81st Street. I had to register with them online, and you'd be surprised, like all the time slots available. So if I got out at 4, I could push 4:20. So they were already waiting for me. Wow. I thought I was just gonna go get evaluated, but my doctor put an order in to get her tested.
Oh, wow.
The first time. And he did it again the second time. Because the second time now.
So you've been tested twice or just once?
I got tested twice. Yeah. The first time came back negative, but I still had a viral infection. So
okay.
So that's why we were home. We were quarantined the first time, and I was great after that when I went back to work. And then for the second time, again, I had to go through employee health, fill out the application, for them to say they'll call me 24 to 48 hours. I said, they full of shit. So I called my doctor. He says, go back. I'll put an order in. I got out at 4. I clicked 5 o'clock, went there, got there at 4:30. I called them because you can't go inside anymore. You have to call them. She came out, got me in there. Within 15 minutes, I was out. And then they called me the next day with the results.
Wow.
And Bill, what's so funny about that is my first test was after she took hers, and I went to the same urgent care because we share the same primary doctor. So, but when I just was ready to get my first test before we call the doctor, you got to call a COVID hotline. Then they reach out to the state and do all of that. So it was 3 different people that I had to contact to try to set up a test. One was the drive-through, the other was the state, and then my primary care got us in. I went in, got tested. The state called me A week after I got my results back from having a test, the state called me to set me up for a test. Then the drive-through called me a week after they called to set me up for a drive-through. And it was totally almost 2 weeks from the day that I first called and said I need the test. And I said to them on the phone, I would have been dead already if I waited on y'all. It should not take no one 2 weeks to get a test, especially with some of the people that have like real sicknesses. I'm talking about they going through it. It's really crazy, but I thank God our primary care, and now Transit has what they call not a contract, but they have an agreement with urgent care. So now transit workers, if you call, like I'm gonna call tomorrow to go get my second test. I'm calling in the morning and I'm gonna go get the test done in the morning.
So let me ask you a question, John. Are they did you hear anything that they're testing temperatures when you walk through the door?
No, not with urgent care when we get there. They didn't do that.
I'm talking about with transit.
Oh, I just heard that today. Someone at the job mentioned that today. They're talking about starting to take temperature and all that. I don't know, but
yeah.
To be honest with you, it's hard for me to believe anything.
I spoke to a former colleague in the state police, and the state has just purchased the thermal scanners, and now at all the stations, the troopers, when they come in, they have to be scanned before they come in. Either at the beginning of the tour and at the end of the tour, they have to be scanned.
Really? Okay.
One of the things about that information is they're going to have to really nail down what they're calling a fever. Because on my paper, it said if I had 100.4, that would have been considered a high fever.
Yeah.
I was telling me they were saying 99. So they're going to need to get their information really accurate when they tell you, because if they tell me at 104 and then here it is, I wait to get 104, and somebody else at 99 is saying, you should have went to the hospital already. You know, that 1 degree difference could be why I'm sitting around thinking I'm not that sick.
Right.
No, but that's why I'm saying we have to be careful because they're changing the policies now. Every day is something different. Every day is something different. You think, again, I had 9 out of 10, but because I didn't have a fever, you're going to tell me I don't qualify.
That's the point.
But I can't breathe. You know, I can't breathe, but because I don't have a fever, I don't qualify.
I know of quite a few people who tested positive that never had a fever. So now you're going to work based on the fact that the only thing they're checking, they're checking your fever, and then they're relying on the same stupid people that you've seen in cafeterias dig their hands into open you're about to purchase. So that's
right.
You don't have a fever, good. You're asymptomatic, and then you don't wash your hands when you use the bathroom. That's who I'm trusting to go into an office. I'm going to work from home. I know that everybody doesn't have that luxury.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to figure out how to get that luxury for the foreseeable future. And like you're saying, Bill, with our job, I don't have a company that is like 100% of you are coming back at the same time. Their thing is to unfold it like Fred is. We moved from a closed system to an open European system where my coworker and I sit like this. This is as far as we are. And then the other people on the other side sit that way. My boss sits, we can talk without anything. We have private rooms if you have, upper discussions. We have focus rooms. We have those kinds of things. Other than that, we breathe each other's air. Now it's like, how do we get the people that we need in an open space, in an open floor plan? While they figure that out, I'm going to be home.
Yeah.
That's what I'm about to ask you. How do you feel about that? Go ahead, sweetie.
No, I was just going to say, I totally agree. That's like the new way of offices, set up. Because before, years ago, we used to all have our own
Cubicle, yeah.
So exactly. You can sit down and not look at the person. But now everybody is so close to each other. And like before the pandemic, people were still coming into the office sick. I don't know what they want to save their sick days for, a Sunday. But I've seen so many people come to work sick, just with a regular cold or this, that, and the other. And now that's just simply not okay. And somebody posed a really good question. They said, you have to stay quarantined for 14 days. But after that, how do you know if you don't get retested? How do you know you're still not positive? And we don't know, because we know someone who is asymptomatic, but she's tested positive twice. The
Exactly.
flight attendant.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Let me ask
About
you a
being
question.
positive, about being still contagious when you're in that contagion stage. Your 14 days that you thought you were sick because you woke up with, like Fred, with a 99 may not really be when you were really positive. So you've had these arbitrary 14 days because I came in contact with somebody, so therefore I'm going to start my quarantine now. May not have been when you got infected. So you're
Exactly.
that arbitrary guide that hopefully you've passed your contagion stage.
Right.
No, that's not enough. It's simply not enough.
You know what's so funny? I think we have to definitely, like Yvonne, like you said, I'm assuming you're going to get tested again. Like, is your job supportive of right now where you are? You know, John, like the craziest shit is like I said, we have a friend that just tested positive again, and she's asymptomatic. Like Yvonne, you tested positive. What are you going to do if you test positive again?
I'll stay home.
Exactly.
And you're just cool with that?
I'm
Like,
stay home.
what's your going? What's your
Well, I mean, they truly have no choice.
right?
They have no choice. Legally now, like I said, read the policies. I can't go back to work. I work in a hospital. So I'm going to walk in there with a positive COVID. I can't do that.
Right.
And what about
You
John?
know,
So
I'll just be working from home.
if John is negative, because you're saying, you know, John, I came in contact, because I don't know how this works. Your wife is positive, so you've been in close quarters with her, you know, wifing and stuff. So you just roll back to work, like you. MT is like, oh, you're negative, come back to work.
That's
Like,
what we do.
That's it.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
That's it.
There are no clear cut answers as to, you know, I have people who have tested positive or have come in, and the stipulation is they have to stay out of work for a 14-day period, and as long as there are no symptoms, you know, you live like John and Yvonne, you're quarantined from each other. So John,
Correct.
The way our company is working, if you say I've been separate and apart from this person for 14 days and I have not exhibited any symptoms, you're clear to come back to work.
Yeah, they're gonna ask me that. They're gonna question me, but because for me, I want to make sure I'm gonna go take the test. I'm gonna tell them what I need to tell them so I can get the test required. You get what I'm saying? But I agree with what you're saying because the channels of what they're gonna ask me is, was you feeling this? Was you feeling that? And
right.
if I really honestly said I have not felt anything in those days, yes, they will clear me to go back.
So John, let me ask you a question, John. Like, how would you feel if you test positive, and like, what was your mental goal from this? Because let me tell you something. There are some people that really don't want to know if they are positive or not. You know what I'm saying? Like some people, there are people who are still not even being the forthright and other people that they have this COVID shit. Because the bottom line, an asymptomatic person doesn't know they have it until they suffer some symptoms. This is like I
honestly, for me, I can handle if I got it. One thing I like about who I am as a person is tell me the truth. I'd rather live with the truth. I'd rather deal with the truth as opposed to kind of living in a lie, because it seems like living in a lie, you really never get to solve that thing. And so even for me, if I tested positive at this point, it's not really going to sway me any way of how I'm feeling with myself. I'm just going to continue to take care of my health. I'm just going to continue to still have my faith and belief in God the way that I do. And, you know, and I look at everybody's challenge is never always the same. I know there are people going through worse challenges. I had a church member who just gave a testimony on Friday that this COVID wiped him out for like 4 weeks. Like he was in his house throwing up and not really, you know, knowing, you know, if it's day or light. I mean, hallucinating, just going through it. And, you know, he, by the grace of God, he fought through it. And then I know there's people who have small symptoms, you know, little fever, little cough. Because even myself, I experienced a little flux in my temperature going up and down, but nothing really major. So if I test positive when I go back and check it, I'm just going to continue to do the same thing that I'm doing right now in terms.
Are you going to self-quarantine again for another 14 days if John comes back positive? And I'm not trying to make you positive.
He's already quarantined now, so they'll probably just add that. The 14 days.
Well, here's the thing. With my job, they only give you one 14-day where it's not going against your sick time. I'm now out a second time for 14 days, and it's probably going to add to my sick time. But I'm sitting on like 8 months worth of sick time. They could do what they want to do. I will take 8 months and sit on my black behind and get a paycheck. And we could call it a day, because by next year, I'm walking out of there. So I got about 8 months worth of sick time. So they could go ahead and add all that sick time to me and say, take it from there. I'm okay with that. But that was one of the discussions my wife and I have been having, like really knowing where you at in your life, what's important, and like really seeing what we were setting up our future for. So it's so ironic all of this is happening, because the reality is, it really gets you to take a look at, like you said earlier, Jesselle, the partner you got, how important they are, how important you are to them, their policies. Like, I jokingly tell people, thank God I love my wife, because you think I would be sitting in one room and she in another room? Right. It took COVID-19 to get me to sleep in another room other than my wife for 10 years. You get what I'm telling you?
As that OG woman said on the corner, all right now.
It took 10 years for me to be laying in a bed and she in another room. But I mean,
at the ceiling and shit, huh?
We gonna work through it. We gonna keep pushing. We gonna keep fighting.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lose the faith in, even in our game plan. I'm not losing the faith in, what we need to do. And I mean, hey, we gonna keep it pushing. And if anything changed, then it's in God's will. It's in God's hand. That's the way I'm gonna look at that.
That's real talk. You know what I'm saying? Malika has something.
No, I was just one of our viewers was just saying that her doctor said there is no retest. So I don't know. People are being told different things, because we know someone who went back to their original testing site. When they tested again. Yeah. So
it depends on who you got to hook up with, or
no retest. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, people need to know if they definitely tested positive. How will you know if you still have it or not? So the only way to tell that is to get a retest, and then the antibody test. So we heard the past 2 days that they were doing the antibody test, so it wasn't broadly, known to people. I think it was just a limited amount. Maybe they're just testing it out to begin with, but that's definitely a way to tell whether or not you had the virus.
I got a question for Fred, and then Yvonne and John. And then also I have a question for my wife.
Ooh.
The covert, they have a vaccine. Are you going to take it? Yes.
Hell no. Hell no. No.
Giselle?
Listen, my wife can't even get me to take the flu shot. I don't know.
What about you, Yvonne?
I'll take it.
You'll take it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't take
it. So let me ask you a question. Would you take it?
Let me tell you, I'm that person that if on July 1st the flu shot starts, I'm on that line July 1st to get my flu shot.
My only thing is, Yvonne, I'm not. Take it. You let me know how it works out, John, because we don't know.
So Yvonne, let me just so you're advocate for the flu shot. So you would be a person willing to say, all right, give it to me, I'll take the shit. Is that because you just have the virus and we know you're gonna beat it? Or would you be the first one to say, well, I'm gonna take it just like I'm gonna take the flu shot?
No, I wouldn't be a test to a guinea pig for that, but do that now that I have it, and if there's a cure, I will want that cure.
Right.
Yeah.
I get that.
All right. Yeah. What about you, Ms. Ford?
I wouldn't take it.
Yeah. I want to do my research first. Yeah, I'm the opposite of you, Yvonne. I avoid the flu shot like the plague, and I get told about it every year by my mom, but I do not get the flu shot. So even with this vaccine coming, I don't know, just a few things that I've read about it, it just piqued my interest.
Yeah.
At all.
And the thing is that too, I took the flu shot one time and got sick. I'll never take that motherfucker.
Same here. Same here. That's why I refused. I took the flu shot test and I got sick, and I was like, no more of that. Listen, if that means giving me the flu, I don't need the shot then. So
No, I take the flu shot and I have no issue with that. And again,
I have no issue.
It is biotech, so I am a proponent of it, but I'm also a proponent of safe clinical trials. Something has to be tested. It cannot be, when you have orphan drugs, and orphan drug means, and I know you guys have doctors, so you'll understand that. Orphan drug means there's such a novel, you know, like this pandemic out there, that the FDA kind of ushers people to rush through guidelines so that they can get the drug to market quickly so that we can save lives. I am all for that. But with that comes things that are become acceptable risks. No, there's no trial and error, but it's acceptable losses because you're trying to save the greater, and then there are the few that might. I'm not there. And like Yvonne said, I don't have it. I don't have people who've been that affected by it. So I can wait for the stage 2 trials, stage 3 trials, stage 4 trials before I'm willing to take that shot.
That's like the miracle drug that they was spouting out was the hydrochloroquine.
You mean Trump's drug?
Yeah, his drug.
Okay.
Exactly.
The one he's in business with.
It was killing people.
No, my favorite study about that drug though was that there was 100% efficacy on it. What they did was remove everybody who died from it and said 100% people were cured. Now, on an N of it was like an N of 8, which just isn't even a clinical trial. There was a paper about it. When people die, they eliminate them with an inclusion-exclusion criteria and remove them from the trial. I'm a wait. I am.
That's the thing is waiting.
Yeah, no, this is what I do for a living.
Trust me, I know. And someone said, if you don't take the vaccine, you probably won't be able to travel if you don't have vaccination. All right. And I'm totally fine with that. But
motherfuckers ain't traveling anyway. They talk about they going on vacation. They going to the Bronx and shit.
No, the alternative.
Motherfuckers say, "Oh, I've been traveling."
The antibody
test. You're a 5 boroughs, motherfucker.
That's going to be your travel and your thing. It's going to be cool now. It's going to be a thing where you have to have gone, you have to have gotten tested, and you have to say, I had it, now I have the antibodies for it. So that's what's going to be the real test.
So what about this? What if somebody said, but what if they make you mandatory to take the vaccine in order to go back to work or school?
No, just got to be asymptomatic. You just can't possess any of the symptoms. I mean, Malika, you can speak to this. I mean, and as well as corporate America is a different animal. Okay, their big thing is they want to tell you our most important asset are our employees. Yeah, their most important asset are their assets.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Are they gonna make money? So basically, they're gonna bring people back at a reduced capacity. They're going to say, you know what, for the last 6 months, we've been able to work from home and still be as effective. We're operating 98% work from home. So now corporate America is going to come back and say, I'm paying X amount of rent to house 6,000, 10,000, 20,000 employees. But you know what? I found that I could do that for a smidgen of that by having them work from home.
They can save money because for every computer, phone, desk, chair, they have to pay that per employee. This is an opportunity for the companies to save money by having a certain amount of their workforce work from home.
Absolutely.
And that's where they're going with it. I agree with you.
Telecommuting is new, so you can telecommute for a lot of jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
My last job paid for my intranet and set me up with a whole home office. I was like, we hope to never see you. No problem.
Exactly.
You know what's so funny?
That'll work.
In summation, I want you all to, in closing, you know, it's been a beautiful panel. I really appreciate you all for taking the time on your day. You know, so it's funny when we reached out to you, Yvonne, I didn't know you were sick, and just makes us want to say, well, you know, we need to all check on our people more and more, because I did not know that. And then John, I didn't even realize that you were a Century employee like that. You know, it's so funny, as much as you hang with people, some things you don't know, because, you know, you try to respect their privacy, but in conversing with each other, it's just like, oh shit, I didn't know that. You know, like I said, and Fred, you were already on the show with the brothers in the quarantine. And like I said, I found out that you were working. Like you said, Jesselle, you know, you're staying home with the little one, you know, and I know she's a ball of joy. But the bottom line, exactly, you still need you need your what's that wine? What's that? What flavor is that? Yeah.
Look at that.
There it is.
Hello, is it me you're looking for?
I wore my shirt for y'all.
Yeah, rise and
There
wine,
you go.
exactly.
Rise and wine.
So let me ask you a question in summation. I want you all to give some people some positive feedback. And I'm gonna start with the Richardsons. I'm gonna let you close out, and then John and Yvonne, I'll let you close out Langley's, and then I'm gonna let my lovely wife close out, and then I'll give you the rundown on what's going on in Real Talk Chronicles. First and foremost, let me thank you all. I appreciate you all for giving us your Sunday, for listening to you. I mean, I think, listen, if one thing about Real Talk Chronicles, if you ain't learning anything, then you just a dumb mother effer. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it's all about. You know, because the only thing I can do in the spirit of how it started is for my mother is to give out positive affirmation and positive reinforcement of just where we are and where we're growing and who we are as people. Because the bottom line is people can always tell you what you are, but you can tell them who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line is
Absolutely.
let's stop all the BS. Let's, you know, we want to talk about make America great again. Let's make America great again. Let's all be one and love each other. So that's how I get down with this shit. So go ahead. Richard says, please give some people some positive love on the way out.
Well, for us, with our 1-year anniversary coming up, it reaffirmed to me that I had married my person, that it wasn't about a wedding, which was amazing. It wasn't even about the length of time we had been together. It was the quality of our relationship. And there were things that we both needed, you know, to kind of go through together to realize that we would be okay. Whatever happened, we would be okay. And I think the pandemic just strengthened that. We went back to our church roots. We went back to our family roots. Like he said, we eat together, we pray together. It is what it is. And it reminded me that we had strength that sometimes is untapped when you're so busy being pulled in different directions. You don't rely on yourself as much anymore because there's just so much going on, that once it was all quiet again, that the core was good and we could build from that. So my daughter's fine. She's flourishing. You saw her in and out. She took the opportunity to eat every piece of candy we have in the house, so she's happy. And my mate is amazing, so I'm grateful for that.
Well, I can't add much to that, but it just reinforces, because nothing tests a relationship than being locked up in the damn house.
Yeah.
So if you don't like your mate, you will find out real quickly, because you know, I feel like I'm blessed because
Real
like
talk, real talk.
I enjoy my partner. I mean, she is my best friend, and like I said, nothing tests a relationship like have to be forced into spending time with each other. I don't know anybody that knows her. She is crazy. She keeps me laughing. You know, it's just it's a great dynamic, and I'm blessed that, you know, I chose her as a partner. So, you know, because these are trying. I'm gonna say this: these are trying times. These are extremely trying times, and I mean, I pray for people who don't have a significant other, and this is no shade. This is not shade on relationships, but not having that person that you can really connect with and be there with you during this time of crisis. You know, like I said, I know it's tough. So that's probably my closing. I mean, I'm thankful.
That's beautiful. John, Yvonne, John.
Fred, cut it out, man. I can't do that, man. Come on now. Cut it out, Fred. I'm quarantined, man.
John, you gotta blow your kisses.
We're going to pray for you from far.
Listen, I will be making it up, though.
No.
Watch out, Yvonne. It's coming.
Hey.
But real talk for me, you know, backing up some of the sentiments of what Fred said, I really thank God for my wife. You know, in these moments and times, and I think for me, I didn't learn much new about her because she's always, you know, if anybody been around Yvonne, you guys know she is who she is. You know what I'm saying? You get what you get. You get what I'm saying? And so in the years we've been together, we have shown each other, you know, in moments even like now, like, okay, we know, okay, we dealing what we dealing with. All right, what's next? What do we need to do? You know, and even in this moment, it wasn't a challenge between us. We just talked about it, you know, even with her coming up positive. And so, you know, I'm grateful for who she is. I tell her that every day. You know, I know I'm blessed to have her as a partner. And the beautiful thing is, you know, sometimes we ask for a wife, sometimes we ask for a husband, sometimes we ask for whatever. I used to always say to myself, because I was married twice before, I said, you know what, God, I want a partner. You know, because you could get a wife and you can get a husband, but if you don't get a partner, then moments like now would really be a challenge. And
Yeah.
so, you know, I would tell people out there, you know, whether you're single, you got a girlfriend, boyfriend, you're married, you know, come together with each other during these times. Really have a conversation, you know, deal with life together. If you're going to be together, deal with life together. You know what I'm saying? And have that conversation. And so I'm truly blessed that my wife, her health is good. She's a trooper. She's fighting through this. So I believe we're going to get through this as
Amen.
well. I tell anybody out there, man, keep the faith.
Hey,
Definitely
John.
keep the
Hey,
faith. Even if you never.
I heard it's even better after quarantine.
You got that right, Fred. You got that right.
Get that,
Fred, if it ain't better, I'm gonna make it better. You know.
It's been marinating.
Listen, the good thing, I'm glad I'm still working out because I'm going to be stretched out all over the place.
You got that right.
He said you got that right.
Oh, I love it.
My lovely wife, do you want your parting words?
Your love. I mean, John and Yvonne, Fred and Jesselle, I love your love. I love looking at your faces. I miss you dearly, but this is good. Just the love and support that we all have for each other. We are so fortunate. And
What?
we're saying to Bill today and my mom, I mean, we all have so much to be thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
Over our head and, you know, still employed and, you know, our health, even though Yvonne, you tested positive, look at you. You know, if you hadn't with us, you know, we wouldn't know. You are a trooper.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to beat this. You're
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
A survivor. So
Yes.
you already know every single thing to do. We've been chatting about that for weeks. So this thing is nothing. You're going to knock it out. And
Yes.
the love and support of your husband. I just pray your mom stay safe as well. I will keep her in prayer, you know, since she's in the same household. Giselle, you got your beautiful little girl. It was such a treat.
I hear her coming back down.
I mean, you're just an amazing mom. I always have thought that and hopefully have conveyed that to you, but I love looking at the videos of her.
Absolutely, yes.
Seeing her, but just keep up the incredible work. I mean,
thank you.
That's on your chest, Superwoman, and beautifully.
We didn't plan this.
Another commercial.
Perfect timing. Hey, JR. Hey, beautiful.
Hey, that's what's up. There you
And
go.
Fred, I mean, you're doing an incredible job providing and just making sure that your family is well protected. And kudos to you. Kudos.
Thank you.
Listen, you know, like I said, I commend all of you for being who you are. We rock with you. We, as the people, F with you. I mean, it's just the way life is. We appreciate you being in our lives, and I hope you appreciate being.
We do.
Absolutely.
You know, on behalf of Real Talk Chronicles, I thank you all for just taking the time out of your day to share your stories with us, because for all of you, some of you that know, like, I've always been a promoter. It's the easiest thing. I tell you all the time, the easiest thing God's given me one talent, and that's the easiest thing is to bring people together. But the hardest thing is to keep positivity in the universe. People don't like that. If I was having a slap your girlfriend party, the line would be around the corner just to spread some positive affirmation. But it's the people out there that watch, that like send me the positive messages like, yo, they love what Malika and I are doing and stuff like that. And, you know, Malika, I appreciate her for joining in on this journey with me because she knows this is my puppy and my baby. And I can't be on some like real hands-on, like this is what I want, this is how I want it. And, you know, she defers to that. But then she throws her expertise in as being a business owner. So I really appreciate you and love you for that.
Yep.
As a lineup on what's going on tomorrow, we have the doctors in quarantine, the quarters, my cousins. So I don't know if we have all of them plus their children because their children are all in the health field. But call in, ask some questions because listen, I can bring doctors to you faster than you can bring your own doctor sometime. So that's the beautiful thing about tomorrow. That's tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Tuesday, we have school teachers in quarantine. They're talking about this whole COVID operation, how it is homeschooling from home. How do they feel about it? Is the education doing all they can do to make their job easier? You know, what are we going to do? Wednesday, I have, you know, the men in quarantine. We're going to be picking it on just how men dealing with being a part of this aspect of pandemic and quarantine. And Friday, we're going to take a little break for Thursday, but Friday, unless I have some special guests Thursday. But Friday, I have the legendary Reggie Wells coming in, and you have to put legendary before his name, and discuss his whole career. I just wanted to change up a little bit and just talk about, add a little bit more to what Real Talk. Reggie's going to tell us how his career started, where he is today, and how he feels about that title that goes with legendary. So, you know, it's a beautiful thing. You know, on behalf of Real Talk Chronicles, I am Bill Forster, and this is my lovely wife, Malika. Thanks to Richardson's and Longleys. Thank you, Langley. Listen, it's so much love. I appreciate you all. That's it. You know?
Absolutely.
Done.
Yeah. Stay on after.
Wait.
Stay on after.
Sexy. Look at them.
Facebook.
Look what they doing.
Oh, hold on. Before we get out of here, Facebook.
Look, sexy.
If you want to be on, inbox me.
Sexy.
Holla at me.
We love your hairdos, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Right?
I love
Boys, don't get it twisted. Miss Young, I saw you chime in. I saw you looking. I apologize for reaching out to you. I know you probably doing Ramadan. Respect to that. I apologize if I disturbed you during your time of prayer. But listen, Real Talk Chronicles, Malika Forster, Bill Forster, we out of here.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Bye.